Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me for this presentation on how to transform your business into a fully automated trading company. I'm founder and CEO at AlgoTrader Limited in Zurich, Switzerland. I've been working with enterprise-level software systems for many years. I've done various projects for different banks and insurance companies. And I've also led a very interesting project for the Swiss intelligence agency. And also I worked at a small Swiss hedge fund together with my colleague Emmanuel Burgener called Lennart Capital. And in 2013, we started AlgoTrader. What do? We have two business lines. First of them is the product AlgoTrader. AlgoTrader pretty much allows you to automate any sort of complex quantitative trading strategy. We try to provide everything a typical trading company will need on a daily basis to fully automate their operation. The other half is professional services. So we also provide consulting on how to automate or migrate an existing trading strategy, how to optimize or improve things. We help clients prototype and backtest new ideas. We also sometimes do custom development. And of course, we also provide coaching and training. But let's jump into the main presentation. Let me ask before we start. Let me ask you a few questions. How many in this room actually trade quantitative trading strategies or are somehow related to that field? If you would raise your hand. So yeah, actually. Quite a few. How many use tools such as Excel, MatLab, R, Bloomberg, and so forth to test and implement strategies? Oh, also quite a few. Okay. And then I assume at least some of you will actually trade live trade quantitative trading strategies. So another question is, how many of you use proprietary software, so software you or your team developed for live trading those quantitative models? Okay. And last question is, how many of you use a commercial product to do all of that, to do both back testing and live trading? Just one. Okay, so you're all potential customers. So let's then look at this traditional approach of how things are done, and obviously some of you do it exactly that way. So in this scenario, you'll probably, if you work with Excel, you'll have a big Excel files with probably hundreds of tabs. You might be using macros or Visual Basic combined with MATLAB and R, things like that. You probably use Bloomberg or a similar data provider for historical data. You store it in files or some sort of database. Typically, you'll manage reference data yourself, so you take care of ISINs and symbols and things like that. What about spread, slippage, and commission? I assume you have that incorporated into your trading modules somehow. I assume that at least some of you will work on the models, and whenever there is an update, you save it. But you don't really know what versions you had previously. Typically, no sort of code versioning system is involved. Then, in very often cases for live trading, somebody in your team will take those models that you developed and backtested, translate them into another programming language, be it C#, Python, or Java, or something like that, and kind of re-implement the trading model for live trading. Probably you'll have some sort of handwritten interface for historical and live market data. Probably same for trading, either to the exchanges or the brokers. Probably reconciliation and P&L calculation, valuation also involves quite a bit of manual work. Also from our experience, handling of holidays and trading hours is usually quite tough because somebody has to take care of these things, and it usually is done manually. So then let's look at a different approach. What alternatives do you have? Obviously, and I represent a company that provides these sort of solutions. There are software packages that will help you do that. We're not the only ones. There are quite a few other companies here that can also provide help in this case. So what do you get? What are the benefits of using such a software package? I think the main number one benefit is that you'll be using the same code for backtesting and live trading. And that already eliminates many potential issues with your quantitative trading strategies. Typically, these software packages will provide interfaces for historical data, for live data, for trading. There will be some sort of a storage or database for market data and historical data. There typically is some sort of reporting functionality, reconciliation functionality. You won't have to write portfolio valuations yourself, and typically the software will take care of holidays and trading hours for you. And should you need it, typically there is also some sort of hedging functionality involved. Let's then look at skills, if you wanted to go in that direction. Obviously, a lot of these skills you already have. Of course, you need to know about quantitative trading. You need to know about trading, markets. If you're going to do the programming yourself, you need to know these programming languages that you're going to use. Connectivity, if you connect to market data providers or brokers, you need to know about these technologies. If you're going to store historical data or market data in any way, you need to know about databases, and obviously somebody will need to know about just general IT and hardware related topics. So what choices do you have? You can either, of course, do everything yourself. You can develop your own trading models, then implement them in-house, and also take care of the execution part yourself. There is an alternative, which is partially outsourced. You're still in charge of your trading models. You still do all the development yourself, but you use a third-party execution system in your company. And the third option is, of course, that you outsource everything, meaning not the trading models themselves, because those are your intellectual property, but the implementation of those trading models and the execution. All right, so if you decided to work with an external, if you decided to work with an external development partner, what sort of topics do you have to cover? Of course, fee structure. What sort of services do they provide? They provide fixed price projects, or they charge you by hour or by day? What are the required competences that you expect from the provider? Naturally, he needs to know about software development and trading. But in addition to that, what else do you expect from them? Intellectual property. Naturally, if you're going to do the development in-house and you don't need to share your trading models, but if you ask someone to help you with the development, you probably will have to share at least part of your intellectual property. What happens to that? Is that going to strictly stay within your project? Or will the service provider maybe build a custom feature for you, and then you agree that feature is going to be reused in his product for something else? So you need to really discuss these topics when you start working with an external partner. Service level agreements, how long will it take for them to react if there is an issue? If they're sitting in another continent, usually business hours might be different. What sort of support do they provide? Do they have a geographic presence in your continent, in your country, or are you fine with just using remote technologies and phone and Skype and email for communication? Another topic that I briefly want to touch is choosing the right broker and market data provider. Again, here, of course, commissions is the big topic. Commission schedules. Quite often, the broker will give you an initial pricing, and then you probably tell him, well, I'm going to trade this and this volume, and he goes, yeah, please, show us that you're actually going to trade that volume and then come back and we'll renegotiate. So often you can only really negotiate better commissions, better prices when you actually show that the volume that you can trade. What sort of exchanges and instruments are provided? What sort of interfaces are supported? Typically these days everybody provides a fixed interface. What about redundancy and backup? What happens if your primary connection goes down? Do you have a secondary VPN connection or something so that your connection is still online? Round-trip latencies, tick-to-trade latencies. Usually a big topic. Usually it helps to do some sort of a proof of concept, do a little prototype together with the broker or market data provider and actually measure, what are the latencies. Quality of data, that of course is mostly about market data. Is there some filtering happening on their side, or do they actually provide the raw data stream to you? Reporting and reconciliation. Typically, you want to reconcile the end-of-day trade reports that you get from the broker. Unfortunately, for reconciliation, there is no standard format. So, you'll probably get some sort of a CSV text file or an XML file or something like that. But you need to make sure that that file that you get once a day actually contains the data that you're looking for. And again, support. As always. Next topic I want to very briefly touch is hardware and performance requirements. For trading company, that usually has somewhat of an impact. What are the decision drivers when you look at that topic? The top two, or actually top three drivers are the number of market data subscriptions. Is it in the hundreds? Is it in the thousands? Is it in the 10,000s? The number of orders that you place per day, is it just a few, or is it several thousands, if not 100,000s of orders? And naturally, the complexity of your trading logic. In addition to that, there are some other factors that you have to look at. For example, do you have specific latency requirements? Are you trading, or are you going in the direction of high-frequency trading? Then, of course, that has a much bigger impact. Do you have preferences on hosting? Like, do you have policies in your company that require you to host your own server? Or is cloud hosting something that would be acceptable? And also, what is your know-how about IT? About how fit is your own IT team at your company? I've listed here three scenarios, typical scenarios. One is just end-of-day trading, a low-frequency intraday trading strategy, and the another one is a high-frequency trading strategy. I've listed some very rough suggestions on hardware sizing. If you want to look at that in detail, please download the full PowerPoint presentation. It's available in the conference website. Should you have any questions or need some recommendations for hardware sizing, don't hesitate to contact me. And we've got a lot of experience in that field, and yeah, we'll try to help. Hosting, as I mentioned, there are basically three different options. So you can of course host your own server internally. That has a big advantage. It's privacy. Nobody's gonna be able to access that server if your network is configured properly. Other than that, it doesn't really have too many advantages, but quite a lot of disadvantages. Security, cost will be quite expensive. You don't have too much flexibility. If you want to switch to a bigger server, you actually have to buy a bigger server. Latency to exchange would probably also not be too pretty. A lot of our clients actually use cloud hosting, either Amazon Azure or Amazon AWS or Microsoft Azure or something similar. That has a lot of advantages. First of all, it's really inexpensive. You're extremely flexible. You can switch to a larger server or switch to increase the number of servers within a few minutes. So flexibility is the big pro. Disadvantages is privacy. Well, of course, all these companies promise you that their environment is totally safe, but we're in the ages of NSA, so nothing is 100%. Latency. These hosting environments, they're not at the exchange, so obviously there will be some latency to connect to the exchange. If you're sensitive in regards to latency, there is no other choice than to go co-located. That, of course, will have a big impact on cost and availability and flexibility, because typically that you'll have one setup of servers. If you need to switch to a larger server or change something in your network setup, you have to buy a new appliance. So it's not just a matter of a few minutes. So next topic I briefly want to touch is historical data management. In our experience, that is often a very big topic. Storage of historical data for either usage for backtesting or for traceability. There are basically two options. You can install some sort of recording service somewhere that just listens to incoming market data, and then you write it in some sort of storage. Another alternative, and that in our experience is actually what we often recommend to clients, is not to record your own market data, because you have to make sure that the service is running 24/7. But just download or purchase historical data and download it at the end of the trading day, save it down, and then you have it for your references. There are a number of historical data providers that you can look at. I'm just going to name a few. There's Tick Data, there's IQFeed, there's QuantHouse. Of course, the big ones, Bloomberg, Reuters, CQG, and Quandl. If that is a topic, you need to shop around, compare what do they provide, compare prices. For storage of historical data, you basically have three options. One is a good option, the other ones are not so good, in my opinion. The worst one is, of course, storing historical data just in flat files or compressed files. Usually there'll be a big mess to handle those, and if the guy that takes care of those files leaves your company, you're pretty much stuck. Another alternative is to use a relational database. If you only need end-of-day data, that'll probably work, but it'll not be ideal. These traditional or relational databases, they have size limitations. So if it goes beyond a few terabytes, things won't work as well. Then the third option, and in my opinion, and hopefully I'm not the only one in the room here, is to use some sort of time series database. Obviously, there are the big names like KDB and OneTick, but these days there are also some alternatives. There are even some open source time series database. One is OpenTSDB, which is based on Apache HBase. We've done some experiments with it, and that actually turned out very well. So these systems actually do work. Now, I'd like to share a few best practices from our experience. Try to set up some sort of a coding standards and development process, especially if you have a bigger team. That'll be very important. Test-driven development, writing unit tests and integration tests. I'm often surprised when I look at clients and the development teams that those are all very well-educated people, but there are no test cases. I know it's hard to properly test a quantitative trading strategy. How do you know that it actually performs right? Just because it produces a profit doesn't necessarily mean that it's working correctly. So yeah, it is more difficult than maybe in other situations, but testing is a very important fact. Use extensive logging. Logging, especially in live trading, will be very helpful if something goes wrong and you need to find out what actually happened. A log file will be extremely helpful. I've mentioned it at the beginning of the presentation, source code management. Don't just save the last version of your code somewhere in a file system, but please use some sort of source code management like Git or Subversion. These days, there's just no reason not to use those. Also, when deploying new features, a big recommendation is bundle some features together in a chunk, test them, and deploy it all at once. Don't deploy too many incremental changes during the day or during the week. So having a formal release process will make things much more stable. Also, especially if you have a bigger team, documentation, training is going to be very, very important. Few lessons learned, also from our experience. Try to make your test and productive environment as similar as possible. Maybe your test environment will be a bit smaller, but use the same hardware, use the same setup. Expect issues with brokers and data providers. They change things on their end, and probably they will mention it or they won't, but you will hit issues in that direction. Be prepared to handle all use cases, and not just the likely ones. Training and documentation. If you have the opportunity, I would highly recommend to do some sort of paper trading and try to look at your paper trading account as if it was your real money. Otherwise, it's useless. Email alerts. That is something that we highly recommend to clients in live trading. If anything gets logged at a warning or error level, have an email sent out to the responsible person. Think about partial fills, limit, liquidity limits, slippage, commissions already during the development process. Because in live trading, of course, all these things will happen. Expect misunderstandings between your team members. If you have developers and quants, they obviously went through a whole different sort of education, so there will be misunderstanding. Expect budget overflows. We're in IT. Things always take longer than they expected. Also, unfortunately, there will be bugs, and they, sometimes they'll only show up in live trading. So please be prepared for that. The last one is something also quite important if you're developing new trading models. I would suggest, to start out simple. If the thing is not producing any profits, then gradually add complexity to it. But don't start out with, building a rocket ship only to find out that it's too complicated, nobody can handle it, and then try to make it simpler. It doesn't work. You can never go, make a system simpler if it's already complex. All right, so these have been some lessons learned from our experience. I'd like to very briefly show you a quick video that we've just released last week to give you an idea about our product, AlgoTrader.
AlgoTrader is a powerful trading software developed in Switzerland. AlgoTrader lets trading firms automate complex quantitative trading strategies in Forex, options, futures, stocks, ETFs, and commodity markets. It's highly secure, reliable, and optimized for fast execution. In this video, we'll show you how to create a new trading strategy, how to backtest it, and how to deploy it. This is the AlgoTrader development environment where you'll spend most of your time when creating trading strategies. First, we'll create a new trading strategy using the wizard. We add details like name and version. Let's examine the strategy that the wizard created for us. The Esper module contains our signal generation logic. The first statement looks at tick events and calculates the difference between a 10-period exponential moving average and a 20-period exponential moving average. The second statement sends a buy order when the value calculated previously crosses above zero and creates a sell order when the value crosses below zero. The order is then handed over to the example service. Now let's look at the example service. It contains two important parts. The onStart method is called when the strategy is started up, at which point it subscribes to market data. And the sendOrder method is called from Esper when there's a signal, at which point it creates a market order and sends it to the exchange. When finished with the coding, we can start our first backtest. Everything that happens during the backtest is logged to the console. The backtest runs against an in-memory database. It's extremely fast. Thanks to Esper, it can process up to 500,000 events per second. At the end of the backtest, you receive a concise one-page report with key performance metrics and charts. It is based on Excel, so you can make changes to it and apply your own formatting. Once you're happy with the backtest results, you can start live trading. In this example, we'll use an interactive broker's paper trading account, which also provides live market data. Let's start the strategy. Once it starts up, we can use the new HTML5 front end to monitor our strategy. It shows your orders, positions, and transactions, as well as live market data. And it includes configurable tiles with information like market value and realized profit and loss. You can also place orders manually. The interface displays a nice chart based on the TradingView library, which contains different chart types and over 100 pre-built indicators. You can even draw on the chart yourself. And you can display multiple instruments at the same time. Once you're done with paper trading, you'll typically want to deploy the strategy to a server. With the latest release of AlgoTrader, we introduced Docker for server installation and deployment. Docker is an open platform for building, shipping, and running distributed applications. With Docker, you can deploy a trading strategy to a server with a single click. This will automatically deploy the trading strategy, the AlgoTrader server, and the MySQL database to a cloud server, where we can monitor it through the browser. This was a quick introduction to AlgoTrader. Of course, you can also perform more complex tasks such as running multiple strategies simultaneously, customizing the platform, integrating third-party libraries, trading multiple accounts, and connecting to multiple brokers at the same time. If you'd like to learn more about how AlgoTrader can help you to automate trading strategies, then visit algotrader.ch.
All right, I hope that gave you a little idea of our product, AlgoTrader. A few things I'd like to mention that we didn't see in the video. Obviously, we connect to a large number of brokers already. It is actually with the newest version possible not just to program your strategies in Java, but to use any programming language such as C#, Python, JavaScript, or MATLAB or R to implement your quantitative trading strategy. We also have a few built-in execution algorithms should you not trust what is provided by the broker. We've learned in the previous presentation about self-learning algorithms. that might be an alternative. We support synthetic instruments and derivative spreads. We also have an option pricing engine and some hedging functionality that you can use. All right. Thanks for your time.